true. A wise man once said, "An enemy flattereth, but a friend speaketh the truth." Bringing to light the negative impacts for men who have sex with men can actually be a compassionate position based on a desire to help people avoid a lifestyle that is generally fraught with heartache and disease, and in some cases even death. The Gay and Lesbian Medical Association recognizes the serious dangers for men who have sex with men in their publication, 10 Things Gay Men Should Discuss with Their Health Provider. They warn that men who have sex with men are at an increased risk for HIV infection. Gay men use substances at a higher rate than the general population. Depression and anxiety appear to affect gay men at a higher rate. Men who have sex with men are at an increased risk of sexually transmitted infection with the viruses that cause the serious condition of the liver known as hepatitis. These infections can be potentially fatal. Sexually transmitted diseases occur in sexually active gay men at a high rate. This includes STD infections for which no cure is available. Gay men may be at risk for death by prostate, testicular, or colon cancer. Gay men have higher rates of alcohol dependence and abuse than straight men. Gay men use tobacco at much higher rates than straight men. Problems with body image are more common with gay men than their straight counterparts. Gay men are much more likely to experience eating disorders. This can cause a number of health problems, including diabetes, high blood pressure, and heart disease. Gay men are at risk for human papillomavirus, which puts gay men at an increased risk of anal cancers, and the rate in which this infection can be spread between partners is very high.
Depression would be setting in, a tendency towards substance abuse, high levels of anxiety.
A report published by the National Association for Research and Therapy of Homosexuality summarizes the research showing that homosexuals have a greater prevalence of suicide, violence, antisocial behavior, substance abuse, promiscuity, paraphilias, being paid for sex, sexual addiction, personality disorders, and psychopathology. In addition, researchers at Harvard University, after conducting one of the most exhaustive surveys ever done on the scientific literature related to the health effects of homosexuality, concluded, quote, "Homosexual orientation is associated with a general elevation of risk for anxiety, mood, and substance use disorders, and for suicidal thoughts and plans." And finally, according to the U.S. Center for Disease Control, although men who have sex with men represent only 2% of the U.S. population, they account for 60% of all new HIV infections, are 40 times more likely to be infected with HIV, and are the only risk group in which new HIV infections have been increasing steadily since the early 1990s.
A number of studies show that homosexually identified individuals, gay identified individuals, have a greater inclination to become abusers of alcohol or drug abuse. There are many more what we call pathologies associated with the homosexual condition. Again, pathology is defined as self-defeating, self-destructive, maladaptive behaviors.
Some people believe that the reason homosexuals have so many negative mental and physical health outcomes is because society does not accept them. They claim that if society would just accept homosexuality as healthy and normal, then many of these negative outcomes would go away. However, in countries like the Netherlands, where homosexuality has been accepted for a long time, there has been no major reduction in negative health outcomes for homosexuals. A panel convened at the United Nations in January of 2013 called Therapy for Homosexuals a Violation of Human Rights, and a law passed in California seeks to ban change therapy for same-sex attracted minors. Bills intended to ban change therapy for homosexuals have been introduced in U.S. state legislatures in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, and a regional office of the World Health Organization issued a false statement claiming that conversion therapies violate human rights protected by international agreements.
These are political organizations, and many of their decisions are based not just upon science, but also dependent upon special interest groups, political factors, economic forces, public relations.
The entire field has become so politicized, and there's really now only one correct point of view that you're allowed to have without paying a high professional or academic price.
So where did this widespread orchestrated effort to ban change therapy come from?
I think many activists within the gay community feel very threatened, and they're often very emotional and upset and very angry when we talk about change and we talk to those who have experienced a shift or a change in orientation, because that possibility takes away from them the very identity or the label that they've taken on as a gay identified person.
Reparative therapy is so threatening to the gay agenda because when an individual stands up and says, I have changed, that's a fundamental threat to one of the basic principles of the gay agenda, which is to have people believe that people are simply born that way.
Some people can and do change. Now, that doesn't mean that people should be forced to change. It just means that they have a right of that option.
They have the right to a therapist who says, you can change. I will do the best I can to help you. I don't know if you will change. I don't know if I will be effective, but you have a perfect right to seek it, and you have the right to choose a therapist who's not going to tell you, you need to stay that way, you're born that way.
There are people that I understand are trying to ban reparative therapy, saying that this type of therapy may bring depression and other side effects. And I believe that even now, whenever I am sad or depressed or in not such a happy place, like after this breakup with my girlfriend, even then when I wasn't very happy, still doesn't even compare to how depressed I was all the time before. And without that help, I would still be in that dark place that I was.
And now I feel so much joy in my life. I feel part of the community of men, and I no longer have these same-sex attractions. And my only concern now is that others will be denied the choice I had to seek this therapy.
People come up to my parents or even to my brother and people that I haven't seen in a while who had no idea what I'd been through. And they just said, Caleb looks different. What's different about him? There's something, he's lighter on his feet. He looks happier. What's going on? And whenever I hear things like that, to me it's just a huge, huge statement of just how much I've changed.
As human beings, we do have a free will, and nobody can infringe this free will of ours. So at the end of the day, it is going to be our own decision what kind of identity we embrace or what kind of lifestyle we decide to lead. But I find it imperative, absolutely imperative, to share the very fact that there is an alternative and that there is a way out for those who so wish.
For people that have been struggling in their life with same-sex attraction, for those people who want help, banning that therapy, banning that help would be an abuse of human rights.